Vanie and Sylvia, thanks very much for your time today. Welcome to the PNG Investment Conference. Tell me, just in a nutshell, what your business is or business actually does. Vanie first.
Well, thank you, Andrew. Well, my business, I do quite a lot of things, but more focus on SMEs as well, creating a platform where we can provide the entrepreneurial resources for them to grow, develop, and scale. But my core business is internet service provider. So I provide connectivity across Papua New Guinea, and I'm proud to say that we're in 17 provinces as a local business, pushing the boundaries, going out there and making an impact through technology and trying to innovate to see how we can encourage SMEs to get on board and do business digitally. So in that space, we also have digital platforms where they can go online, create their online shop. We've got the distribution channel covered, the internet payment gateway system in place. So they have a far, wider reach of their customers nationwide and also internationally as well. And we have a co-working hub, which is Emstret Space, where we encourage entrepreneurs, aspiring entrepreneurs and SMEs to come and leverage on what we create here so that together we can grow together and continue to impact our communities out there. So that's basically what we do.
Very busy, it sounds to me. I know you're equally busy, Sylvia. Tell us a little bit about your business.
Yeah, well, I'd like to be busier. My main line of business, Pascoe Promotions, is event management and production. Obviously, with COVID giving us a lot of restrictions, that means there's not a lot of events going on. But usually we'd be very busy doing expos, big corporate dinners, community events and that around the clock. Yep, we also started Pom City Markets about 5 years ago, which is a social enterprise. It helps take SMEs from informal business to formal business and then helps develop them further to exporting.
So you're both dealing on a day-to-day basis with a lot of SMEs, sometimes a bit smaller than you, but sometimes the same size. So from your observation of your own experience and from those SMEs you deal with every day, what kind of things do SMEs need to flourish in PNG? Maybe we'll start with you, Vani.
Well, I think one of the things that I find, with experiences, day-to-day experience is that, I think they need a little bit of guidance, mentorship, having access to platforms where they can be able to grow their business. Literally, they are, they're really great products. They have great services. They just need a little bit of a hand up where they can be able to grow from where they are to where they want to go. So mentorship program, business advisory, somebody to, see their business model and tell them this is the right way, or maybe this is how you should look at things and connect them to, people that we have around the circle. So it does inspire them and motivate them to keep pushing the boundary and working at the business model. Because at the end of the day, they wanted to impact their own communities. And that's what I love about the many businesses that I deal with here. They are NGOs, they are designers, they are event planners, they are caterers. It's just very inclusive in the SMEs that we deal with, and every one of them have different challenges, different needs. So we try to bridge the gap to help them to excel in their business. So at the end of the day, for me, is that if I can impact somebody else, she will also go and continue to do the same thing as well. So the ripple effect is there.
Sylvia, what do you think SMEs need?
Yeah, I agree with Vani 100%. I think that basic business education is one of the things that everyone's always asking for. We're breaking down a lot of barriers at Pom City Markets. We've got a corner called SME Elevate series, which basically connects consultants that are there for free, and they give people advice. And the biggest advice we keep giving is that helping people set up their business, making them aware of what they need to be compliant with and how they can go about doing that, and just making that easier for them. At the moment, a lot of people don't know where to get information, and I think there's some hesitancy, fear of asking, but that's the biggest thing, basic business education. Another thing people ask about all the time is access to market. So Pom City Markets is providing that point for them to build their business in Moresby. But beyond that access to exporting, we are helping build that. But you look at somebody at the moment, we've got our markets this weekend, and people are flying in from around the country, for instance, and we get that all the time. It's normal, but I want to get to a point where it's easier, that supply chain from getting it from the village to Port Moresby and then exporting it without people having to fly themselves in and stay for a week in POM and things like that. So that access to market is a big one.
I guess there are two sides to SMEs. One is to kind of replicate services that are maybe available elsewhere in the world, but maybe aren't yet available in PNG or are more scarce in PNG. And then there is also the SMEs who are actually delivering something that's particularly unique to PNG. Let's talk about the second group first, if you like. What kind of SMEs do you see which are unique to Papua New Guinea, that are producing things that nowhere else in the world can produce?
Basically, well, PNG is very unique in its, cultural, ways of doing things. And the unique things I see is, our artisans, our art, our craft, where it can be, exported to the world, and it has a story to it. So, making a bilum has a story to it. And when you make a mask, it has a story to it. And all these, people that we come across have different stories to tell with their art and with their craft. So, Sylvia's Palm City Markets, deal with all these, people that make so many great baskets, mats, and anything that you name it that is very unique, that you can't have it in the world. Because at the same time, we are attached to our culture, we are attached to a tradition, and we want to tell the story. And the uniqueness of Papua New Guinea to, take it out to the world and say, here we are, come to us. We've got the food hubs as well. We've got food that is organically growing that we can be able to supply the world. I'm just saying, somebody has to do it.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I agree with Vani on that. Andrew, something that I'm constantly reminding people is that we're not. Well, I'm certainly not advocating for setting up mass market production in the same way that it's done in other countries. A lot of these artifacts and crafts are unique. They are special. They carry and they are taught with a whole culture and tradition behind them. And I believe they need to be looked at and viewed and bought as art. And so when people, and I get this often, people asking if we can organize to fill 20-foot containers worth of baskets and billums and then me explaining that every single billum, every single basket, every single necklace is different. We're not making the $1 version of a necklace that you can get a million of. Every single item is unique. And we want to steer away from that. We want to keep the culture and tradition alive and to keep those items as valuable as possible, because they really are, they are art. And so that's what we're focused on at the moment. I don't want to fill 20-foot containers. If you do, I mean, I do, but if you want a 20-foot container of the exact same thing that costs you $1, there's plenty of factories around the world that are doing versions of that. And if people want something from PNG, they should be prepared to pay a proper price for it, knowing that how it's made. And that's something I'm working on at the moment with some groups, is telling those stories more. My friends from Advancing PNG Women's Network were telling me about some of the baskets that end up at our markets, and the fact that some people overseas were asking for plain white baskets. So they kept asking the guys in the village, just make plain white baskets. And every time it turned up, there was a stroke of color through it, no matter how many times they asked. So they went up and spoke to the guys, and the man that makes these particular ones took them all the way to a top of a mountain, showed him where he gets the materials, and then brought them all the way down, showed him how he dyes those materials to get the color. And the darker it is, it stays basically in this pond to get that dyed look on it. It can stay up to a month or 3 months before it's a perfectly dark color. So him putting color into those baskets was because he believes that that's what makes it beautiful. You know, giving you a plain white basket hasn't had the same amount of time and effort put into it that getting the color into a wood. So he just couldn't understand that. And that's where we want to educate people, that rather than trying to make it fit what the world is asking for, mass market made, is appreciating the beauty in what it is and the way it has been made for generations.
Marvellous. What about the opportunities in the formal economy? You both run businesses that are pretty much carbon copies, or not carbon copies, but similar to businesses you might find in Europe or America or Australia, in that you're providing services to business in a lot of cases. What do you think the opportunities are to grow the services sector in PNG with SMEs? Vani, maybe we'll start with you.
There's a great potential, and with this COVID pandemic challenges, it has brought a lot out of us, especially in terms of innovation. And through the COVID challenges, we actually launched our ShopSmart platform, which is a digital e-commerce platform, and we've done this planning like 2 or 3 years ago. So when COVID came, and the challenges back then was, there was no internet payment gateway. So how do we influence banks to look into this? Because at the end of the day, we want to actually create an access and marketplace for SMEs or anybody that is somewhere in Papua New Guinea to sell products and can go anywhere around the country or globally as well. So that's what we did. And these are sort of things that we have already working in Papua New Guinea. I don't see why we could collaborate together and make it happen for, broader SMEs across PNG, because, it's challenging when we as small organizations trying to grow, but then again, we have to be up against big players, so we are saying, we are small, but we're actually impacting, we're providing solutions. Hey, we are happy to work with you guys. Let's see how we can collaborate and create a platform for everybody to have access to these platforms to sustain themselves and grow, so that we don't go begging on the streets. We don't go begging, looking for marketplaces. You are at your comfort, at your home, or wherever you are doing business. And we're helping a lot of informals coming into formal businesses. And IRC is talking about all these things, but we're already doing it. And all they could do is, enforce this PPP a little bit more and work with us entrepreneurs, because we are ready to make it happen, and we're making it happen. But the difference is that we don't have capital. So if
that
you
is
help,
the challenge.
yes, if we collaborate and together, it's a win-win situation. You achieve your goals and you are helping an SME scale. At the end of the day, we are recruiting our own Papua New Guineans, giving them employment.
Absolutely. Sylvia, you again a services business. Well, how would you like larger corporates to behave towards SMEs, whether your business or others? Is there ways that which some of the more established businesses in PNG can actually help SME development, as far as you're concerned?
Yeah, I run a page online called SMEs for Change Group, and the whole point of that is giving everyone an opportunity to seek out SMEs first. That sort of came about because, like I said, I do events, I do expos, and there was a few companies that were coming to do events in PNG that were shipping all their gear from overseas. And I mean, down to I turned up to try and help one of them that was struggling with their setup. And they'd even brought in a forklift, and I think the idea that people think there's no forklifts in PNG that need hiring, things like that, so I'm putting every effort into trying to connect people every day to the fact that there's a lot of small businesses out there already set up that have the gear here, that just need the opportunity. And I've been doing this for 10 years now. I've been doing my business, and I still meet people all the time that say, oh, I didn't know you had that in PNG. I didn't realize you could get this locally. And so I think there's something missing there, that connection. And I do get people ringing me all the time now. I mean, I've done a good job of making sure people know they can call me when they're looking for someone, but I don't know everyone. And so I'm trying to find businesses and that we can help create more platforms that you can find small businesses easily. Some of the newspapers are doing that. They've got SME classified sections now, and PNG Now magazine actually puts the effort in. I appreciate you guys always ring for advice about that. So I'm glad people are picking it up, but we just need more of that connection.
Okay, one final question. If I gave you $1 million kina to start a new business in PNG right now, and I'll ask this to both of you, start with you, Sylvia, and then I'll ask Vani. If I gave you $1 million kina to start an SME right now, what would you do with it?
Well, right now I need a holiday. No, I'm joking. I wouldn't do that.
I was going to say that.
It's been a tough year. If I was going to start right now, I've actually got plans to build a warehouse, basically, that same idea that I'm talking about, basically sort of build our own little version of, just a warehouse delivery system here based in Moresby. So at the moment, I've got people that are sending stuff for the markets, and we store them at the office, but I would love a warehouse of that, and we're connecting with other people that do delivery. So that, like I said, that little piece in between getting those items to market, a warehouse makes all the difference. So if you are planning on giving me $1 million, that would be great. I'll take that.
Okay, I'll have a look around for a check later. Vani, what would you do with the $1 million kina I'm about to give you?
Well, thank you for giving me that grant. I would pretty much, have looking forward to use it money wisely. Anyway, if you give me 1 million kina, I would be building smart homes, smart villages, and expanding the co-working hub and bringing connectivity even more to rural areas so that we can enable them to access markets, trade, and connect with the world. Not just their little circle, but bigger. And invest so that I create returns and continue to build a business.